Why does Saturn have rings? What are the different types of clouds? How does an octopus swim? Why does a tiger have stripes? How do flowers grow?
Tell me why. The Video Encyclopedia is a reference work that's designed to show the answers to questions that young people ask. All materials used in this work are based upon the best-selling book series by Arkady Liokam.
How big is the universe?
Ancient astronomers thought that the sun, moon, stars, and planets were small objects that revolved around the Earth. They believed that the Earth was flat and was the center of the universe. Ancient Greeks started the true science of astronomy, but it wasn't until the invention of the telescope that man began to find out what the universe is really like. Our whole solar system is only a tiny part of another much bigger system called the galaxy. Now, a galaxy is made up of millions of stars, many of them bigger than our sun. Light travels about 6 million miles a year. Our galaxy is believed to be 100,000 light years in width, and it's only a tiny part of a much larger system, so it's impossible for us to know the true size of the universe. According to present theory, space curves around on itself. This means that you can never get outside space because your path will always curve around to lead you back to where you started. Astronomers believe that space curves around in a special way. They also believe that the part of the universe that we can see is only a small piece of the whole universe. The real question is then, how much more is there?
How does a body fall through space?
Gravity is the force that makes a body fall through space towards Earth. Galileo dropped objects of different weights from the Leaning Tower of Pisa to show how the force of gravity caused them to fall. He showed that a heavy weight and a light weight, when dropped together, reach the ground at the same time. He also learned that the longer something drops, the faster it falls. Every object in the universe pulls on every other object. That is called gravity. The strength of that pull depends on how much matter a body can take. The more matter it has, the harder it will pull on things. When a man goes into space, he is away from the Earth's gravitational field. There is no pull on him. He is in a condition of weightlessness.
How are stars formed?
A star is a huge ball of bright hot gases. A star begins to form when a lot of gas particles whirl together in a cloud. They attract more particles, and then as it grows larger, its gravitational pull increases. The particles press down on those below them, and pressure builds inside the ball. When the pressure and the temperature inside the ball get very high, the gases begin to shine, and a star is born. This whole process probably takes a few million years. There are stars in the universe that are so far away that we can't measure the distance. Distances to the stars are so great that a unit for measuring distances was worked out. It is called the light year, and it is the distance that light travels in 1 year. This is about 6 million miles. 4.5 times that amount is the distance to the nearest stars. Between the stars and the Earth, there's unsteady air, and that bends the light from the star and makes the star seem to twinkle. The planets and our moon shine only by the light reflected by the sun. That's why they shine with such a steady light.
How can we learn about the stars?
Only 6,000 stars can be seen without a telescope. You can't look up and see them all at once because many can only be seen below the equator. Other stars are still below the horizon, and even though the sky seems to be filled with stars, only a few can be seen at one time. They have to be seen by using a very powerful telescope.
How can we learn about the stars?
It is possible to photograph more than 1 billion stars. Astronomers have a whole group of special instruments to help them learn about the stars. These instruments help the astronomer study the motions, brightness, color, temperature, and composition of the stars. Astronomers use cameras which make records that can be studied later. They use something called the spectrograph, which studies the light rays from the stars. They also use the radio telescope, which records the strength of radio waves that come from the stars.
Tell me about the different bodies found in space.
Falling stars aren't stars at all. They're meteors. Meteors are small, solid bodies which travel through space. When they enter our atmosphere, we see them because they leave a fiery trail of light. When a piece of meteor reaches the Earth, it's called a meteorite. It has fallen to Earth because of gravity. Some meteors are very tiny. They are destroyed by heat as they pass through the Earth's atmosphere, and they never reach the ground. Scattered throughout the universe are vast islands of stars we call galaxies. Our sun is a star in the Milky Way galaxy. Astronomers have discovered millions of galaxies beyond our own. Galaxies are separated from one another by hundreds of thousands of light years. By using a telescope, astronomers have seen distant clusters of galaxies that are billions of light years away from our own Milky Way galaxy. There are galaxies that are so far away from us that we may never know how many there really are. The answer to the question of how many galaxies there are in the universe will probably always remain a mystery. The Milky Way is the galaxy where we live. There are 3 billion stars in the Milky Way, and it takes 27,000 years for light from the center of the galaxy to reach our sun. Think of it looking like a watch, round and flat. Since we're inside the galaxy, it's like we're looking towards the edge from the inside. We see that edge curving around us. Since there are millions of stars in the Milky Way, it looks like a band of jewels stretching across the sky. A nebula is any mass of interstellar dust or gas or both. It is thought to be the birthplace of stars. Inside a nebula, you can see huge groups of formed stars that look like mist when viewed through a telescope. There are 2 chief classes of nebula. The galactic nebula are found in our galaxy, and the extragalactic nebula are found outside our galaxy, and they can only be seen with a telescope. A constellation is an area in the sky where stars are grouped together. This means that every star lies in a certain constellation, just like every city in the United States is in a certain state. The ancient Greek astronomers listed 48 constellations. Since then, 40 more have been named. With new and powerful telescopes that can see far into the universe, it is now possible that many more constellations will be found. We can't see all of the constellations from one place on Earth. Some are only visible from north of the equator, and others can only be seen from south of the equator.
What are comets, meteors, and asteroids?
Scientists think that a comet is probably made of many bits of solid matter combined with gases. The head of a comet is a large cloud of glowing gases called the coma. The gases are so light that the wind from the sun blows them around. The tail of the comet forms when gases are blown back by the solar wind. As it nears the sun, the comet's tail grows longer. As the comet moves away from the sun into the coldness of space, the tail gets smaller because the pressure of the solar wind decreases as it blows against the gases. Most comets travel very elongated orbits, which means that their path resembles a long, fat cigar. These orbits carry them as far as halfway to the nearest stars, which may take thousands of years. We may feel that this comet has disappeared. Some comets do disappear forever. One astronomer saw one of these lost comets. It returned several times and was seen by other astronomers. Then it split in 2 and finally broke into bits too small to be seen. Comets do not explode, but they do break up. When they do, they scatter along their orbits in the form of meteor dust. 2 ancient astronomers solved a mystery. They figured out that there must have been a planet between Mars and Jupiter because there was such a large gap between them. When they finally found a planet in 1801, they named it Sirius. It was so tiny that they continued to search. Then they found 3 more tiny planets. It was then that they knew that a larger planet must have exploded and left these tiny pieces, and they named them asteroids.
What is the solar system?
The solar system is simply the sun and all the bodies around it that it controls by gravity. Our solar system is made up of all the planets, moons, asteroids, and comets that our sun controls by gravity. We don't know exactly how our solar system came to be, or why the planets have the size, location, and orbits that they do have. Scientists have two types of theories. One suggests that the formation of the planets was a part of a gradual change of the sun from a whirling mass of hot gas to its present size and brilliance. The planets formed as small whirling masses. Another theory believes that there was a near collision between the sun and another star that was passing by. Large pieces of the sun were pulled away and began to revolve around the sun at different distances. These are now called planets.
What's the origin of the sun?
The sun is just a star. It isn't the biggest, it isn't the smallest. Others are brighter, some are dimmer. Our sun is just an ordinary star like billions of others in the universe. Years ago, scientists believed that the reason the sun shone was that it was burning. The sun has been hot for hundreds of millions of years, and nothing could remain burning that long. What happens is that the sun changes into energy. 1 ounce of matter could produce enough energy to melt more than 1,000,000 tons of rock. Just 1% of the sun's mass would provide enough energy to keep it hot for 150 billion years. Hydrogen atoms in the center of the sun combine to form helium. When this happens, it sets free energy, which flows steadily to its surface. The outer layer of the sun is called the corona and is composed of light gaseous matter. It has streamers that extend out millions of miles and cause small but definite differences in the way the sun shines. Another layer of the sun, called the chromosphere, is about 9,000 miles thick and is made up of hydrogen and helium gas. Large clouds called prominences rise to the heights of 1,000,000 miles. Even though the sun always looks the same to us, it does change a little when it shines. Scientists believe that the temperature of the surface of the sun is about 10,800 degrees Fahrenheit. They also believe that the interior of the sun might be as hot as 36 million degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists are only taking a guess at this because we know nothing about the interior of the sun. It is surrounded by 4 layers of gaseous matter, and even modern instruments can't give accurate answers. Astronomers are pretty sure that sunspots are electrical in nature because of certain effects that they produce. They send beams of negatively charged electrons shooting into space. They disturb radio and television transmission and cause the beautiful aurora borealis, also known as the northern lights. Most sunspots last only a few days, but some last for 2 months or even more. Astronomers have learned about the sun by using special instruments. The spectroscope is used to study the glowing gases of the sun. The spectrograph enables scientists to keep a permanent record of the colors which identify different elements. The spectrohelioscope allows astronomers to see how different substances are distributed by the sun. When they add a camera to this instrument, it's called the spectroheliograph. A coronagraph is a special kind of telescope to photograph the sun's corona. A radio telescope enables scientists to study radio waves that are emitted by the sun.
Why does the moon shine?
The moon does not shine with its own light the way that the sun does. It only reflects the sun's light. As the moon travels around the earth, different parts of it are lit by the sun. The changes are called phases. They begin with the new moon. This is when the moon is between the earth and the sun. It's not visible when the side of the moon facing the earth is lit by the sun. It looks like a thin slice of a circle. It's called a crescent. Each day, more of the moon is lit until it is what we call a full moon.
Tell me more about the moon.
The moon is a satellite of the earth, a small body that revolves around it. The journey that the moon takes around the earth lasts for 27 1/3 days. The moon also rotates on its own axis, but the time it takes for the moon to rotate is the same length of time that it takes for it to go around the earth. So the same side of the moon always faces us. Since the astronauts have gone into space, we now have photographs that show us what the back or the dark side of the moon looks like. The Earth's atmosphere protects us from the sun's radiation. The moon has no atmosphere, so the surface is either extremely hot or extremely cold. As the moon rotates, the side of it that is lighted by the sun becomes very hot. The temperature reaches more than 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This is called the lunar day, and it lasts for 2 weeks. It is followed by the lunar night, and that also lasts for 2 weeks. At night, the temperature drops to 260 degrees below zero. No form of life that we know of on Earth could exist on the moon with temperatures like this. There is gravity on every object in the universe. Gravity is simply the force that pulls every object in the universe towards every other object in the universe. Since the moon is small, its gravity is much less than the gravity on Earth. In fact, it's only 1/6 as strong as it is on Earth. When a man jumps while standing on the moon, he can jump 6 times higher than he can while he's on Earth.
Why do all planets look different?
Each planet seems to be made up of different substances. Even though all of the planets revolve around the sun and are a part of our solar system, their composition varies. Mercury is a small rocky world. Venus is a white globe with hazy markings. It is completely covered by clouds. Mars is a small rocky world. Jupiter is a yellowish globe with dark bands of color and huge storms crossing it. Saturn is also covered by clouds. Uranus looks slightly green with a band of silver color. Neptune is dim and green with some bands of color. Pluto is very far away, and it seems to be a small rocky world. We will know more about it in a few years when our space probe gets close enough to take pictures and send them back to us to see. Neptune is the closest planet to the Sun. Its diameter is 3,024 miles. The next is Venus, which is almost the same size as the Earth. Its diameter is 7,522 miles. Earth has a diameter of 7,927 miles. Mars, the red planet, has a diameter of 4,208 miles. Jupiter, the largest planet, has a diameter of 88,695 miles. Saturn, another large planet, has a diameter of 75,023 miles. Uranus has a diameter of 27,882 miles, and Neptune is slightly smaller at 28,230 miles. All planets move around the Sun in what is called an orbit. They also rotate on an axis. Since some planets are very far away from the Sun, it takes them longer to make the journey. The Earth takes 365 days to make one orbit. Mercury takes 88 days to make one orbit. Other planets take up to 247 years to make one full trip around the Sun. A collision of the planets is not likely to happen. What we don't realize when we look up and see the stars and planets filling the sky is how far away they are from each other. Also, the planets never escape from the pull of the Sun. They keep on moving around it in orbits that are not quite circles. Since each of them goes around the Sun in its orbit without ever changing, you can see why they are not likely to bump into each other. Saturn has many rings. They extend outward for about 170,000 miles. They aren't solid at all. Instead, they're composed of tiny bits of rocks and gas. When seen from Earth, they seem to be joined in large rings. The middle section is the brightest, and the inside rings are very dim. We know of 13 moons or satellites that revolve around Jupiter. 4 of them are just about the size of our own moon. 2 of them are only 30 miles in diameter. 3 of them are real tiny midgets. They are only about 15 miles in diameter. Astronomers use science to obtain information about the planets. In 1846, 2 men figured out that there was something peculiar about the planet Uranus, which was the outermost planet then known. It was not moving in its orbit as it should. From the way it behaved, they knew that there was another planet. That was Neptune. By applying the same logic, astronomers knew that there was another planet beyond Neptune. By making a systematic search and by studying photographs An astronomer named Tombaugh found Pluto on February 18, 1930.
How fast does the Earth move?
The Earth has two motions. The first motion of the Earth is its rotation about its axis. One complete turn of the Earth takes 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.091 seconds. The Earth also moves around the Sun. When its orbit is nearest the Sun, the Earth moves faster, about 18.8 miles per second. When its orbit is farthest away from the Sun, the Earth moves slower, about 18.2 miles per second. Since the Earth's distance from the Sun does not stay the same at all times, the orbital speed is constantly changing. Why doesn't the Earth and the planets just fly off into space? Gravitation, or the pull of the Sun, is the answer. According to Newton's law of motion, an object in motion tends to remain in motion in a straight line unless it's acted upon by an outside force. A planet in motion would tend to fly away from the Sun in a straight line. The outside force keeping it from doing so is the Sun's force of gravity. The distance from the Earth to the Sun remains pretty much the same at all times, that is, 93 million miles. Since the orbits of all of the planets around the Sun are not quite circular, the actual difference might change a little bit. That's why we give an average figure for all planets, including the Earth. Astronomers have decided that the solar system was born about 5,500,000,000 years ago. Other scientists tried to find the answer by studying how long it took for the Earth to become the way we know it. They studied the length of time it takes to wear down the oldest mountains. They calculated the time needed for the oceans to collect the salt that they now contain. And after all their studies, these scientists agreed with the astronomers. The Earth is about 5,500,000,000 years old. The outside of the Earth is a crust of rock about 10 to 30 miles thick. The high parts of this crust are the continents, and the low parts of it hold the waters of the oceans, the great seas, and the lakes. The crust has two layers. The upper layer is called granite. Under the granite is a thicker layer of basalt. Scientists believe that the center of the Earth is a huge ball of molten iron with a diameter of 4,200 miles. Between the central ball and the rocky crust is a shell about 2,000 miles thick. It's called the mantle and is made of peridotite on the outside and palisite on the inside. When we speak of the weight of the Earth, we mean that the amount of matter that makes up the whole thing. This is called its mass. Scientists who have calculated the weight of the Earth have used complicated mathematics. They estimate that our planet's mass is about 6.6 sextillion tons. Most scientists believe that the Earth was once a hot, whirling mass of gas, liquid, or solid that began its regular trips around the Sun. As it whirled, it slowly took on a ball-like shape. As the Earth cooled, a hard crust formed on the surface. No one knows how long it took for the crust to form. Underneath that crust, there remained a hot center core of the Earth, and it's still there today. The core stays hot because of the pressure of gravity. When the pressure of something increases, so does the temperature. Gravity never stops putting pressure on the core of the Earth. Since scientists are unable to go very far into the Earth, they study volcanoes and earthquakes to learn about the inside of the Earth. From what they've learned, they say that the innermost part of the Earth is the core. The liquid outer core of the Earth is mostly cobalt, iron, and nickel. Inside that, there is an inner core of solid metal. When you look at a map of the world, you can see how South America sticks out to the right where Brazil is. Africa is indented on the left side. Doesn't it seem like a picture puzzle where you could fit the pieces together? A German scientist named Alfred Wegener did just that. He theorized that the land masses of the Earth were all joined in one continuous continent. For some unknown reason, this land mass began to break up. The continents split off from each other and floated away. Did this actually happen the way Wegener says it did? We don't know. It's only a theory.
What is the atmosphere of the Earth?
Think of the atmosphere as a great ocean of air that surrounds the Earth and that extends up for hundreds of miles. About 78% of it is nitrogen. About 21% of it is oxygen. The remaining 1% consists of what are called rare gases: argon, neon, helium, krypton, xenon, methane, radon, and carbon. The air that blankets the Earth has the same chemical composition up to the height of about 18 miles. The Earth's atmosphere is matter, and like all matter, it has weight. Weight is the measure of the pull of gravity on matter. Because our atmosphere is a vast ocean of air, it has considerable weight. If it could somehow be compressed and put on a set of scales, it would weigh about 5,700,000,000,000,000 tons. Even though you can't see air, nor taste it, nor feel it unless the wind is blowing, air is something. It is a substance or material which scientists call matter. The matter called air is almost always a gas. In fact, air is made up of certain gases. Two gases, nitrogen and oxygen, make up 99% of the air. They're always found in the same proportions of about 78% nitrogen and about 21% oxygen. There is also a small amount of carbon dioxide in the air, which is added to it by living things. The remaining elements are the same ones that are found in the atmosphere: argon, neon, helium, krypton, xenon, methane, radon, and carbon. Our atmosphere is divided into layers, each different from the others. Somewhere between 12 and 22 miles up is the ozone layer. Here the winds have died away and the air is warm. This gas, called ozone, absorbs most of the ultraviolet rays set off by the sun. One result is a band of warm air created by the ozone. At sunset, the sun is near the horizon. We see it then through a thick layer of dust and air. All of these particles change the direction of more and more light from the sun. This is called shortwave light. Only the longer wavelengths, which are red and orange, come through. In some cities, the combination of different industrial gases released into the air make up a kind of fog we call smog. Dust is present in the air at all times. When all of this combines, it makes smog. There are millions of tons of dust in the air all of the time. It comes from factories, automobiles, volcanoes, fires, and factory chimneys. The jet stream is a part of the system of winds that surround the Earth. Winds are currents of air that move parallel to the surface of the Earth and close to it. At the height of about 30,000 feet, currents of air move with such speed that they have a special name. They are called the jet stream. This is because they move very fast, at between 100 and 200 miles per hour.
A wide range of subjects are available in this series now. Let's look at some of the questions that are covered in the Tell Me Why programs. Weather.
A tornado is a special kind of cyclone. It arises when conditions that cause ordinary thunderstorms are unusually violent. There is an updraft of air. There are winds blowing it.
Flowers.
A flower has a fragrance when certain essential oils are found in the petals. These oils are produced by the plant as part of its growing process.
Space.
Distances to the stars are so great that a unit for measuring distances was worked out. It's called a light year, and it is the distance that light travels in 1 year.
Water.
Water is a simple compound of two gases: hydrogen, a very light gas, and oxygen, a heavier active gas. When hydrogen is burned in oxygen, water is formed.
Gems.
When minerals are better, rarer, clearer, or more crystalline than others, they are called gems. Gems are the most prized and famous of all minerals. Diamonds, emeralds, rubies, and sapphires stand out as the true gems.
Ask for the additional volumes by subject from your dealer. They're available now.